Time for some more World and Economica. As you can see here, it's been a long ass while. I'm gonna see if I can finish this because I've seen Kuro playing. I think it's either that he's playing the third episode from what I can remember. So yeah, let's continue reading this. Let's see. He was questioning what? Apparently, someone was shaking me by the shoulders. Are you doing that on purpose? Next to me, Hagana had on an extremely suspicious look. You could almost say that she looked worried. I looked at Hagana for a while, then shook my head to the side. Nah, did you call for me a few times? I did. You weren't even blinking. I thought you had passed out. Oh, that explains why my eyes are pretty dried up. I closed my eyes and gave a big stretch. Popping sounds came from my neck and back. So? Huh? So, what was happening? Why were you staring at the same screen? We were both peering at the laptop screen together, and Hagana was very close. Moreover, Hagana apparently had a habit of putting her face close when she was being serious. Hagana's scent wafted over the time with her movements, and I pulled back hurriedly. It was something like Lisa's, but yet an altogether different, sweet scent. I had a feeling that it was something I shouldn't be inhaling, especially when I was in the middle of training when I had to be alert. I have to explain everything? Please. I had told her to speak plainly when she was asking for favors. To Hagana's direct words, I gave in and explained my decision criteria as best I could remember. Partway through, it didn't look like there would be enough time, so warming up the pilaf from the lunar Chinese restaurant where Lisa worked, I ate and explained. In general, Hagana's face was frowning not because she didn't understand my explanation, but more because she didn't know how to express it numerically. Plus, there was a more direct issue. So what is this sentiment thing? I don't get it at all. Sentiments, well, the whole... What do you use to determine it? Well, for example, trade volume. Info about the company and the sentiment, oh. Hagana gave an exasperated look at my circular explanation. If I could explain it properly, I would. But if I manage to explain it and you finish your theorem, then you won't need me, right? That's true. Oh shit. So yeah, since it's like that, so until you don't need me, can't I be the only one who understands it? It was a pretty cheap reason, and Hagana's face made it obvious that she thought so too. However, I wasn't trying to hide it on purpose, and it seemed like she understood at least that much. Sighing, I quickly moved spoonfuls of pilaf into my mouth. Alright, if you're lost in that tree just now, that would mean your thinking was wrong. Well, in the end, just look at the results, but... At Hagana's question, I looked at the computer screen that wasn't showing movements. I'll probably win. Why? Sentiment. No words for Hagana. Hagana made an angry face and glared at me while I smiled a bit. I wasn't just saying I would win out of pride. This stock just reeked of sketchiness. It was something I hadn't smelled in a while. The feeling of a big play. How about we run it up some more? Eh? What? Letting you use it at all isn't right. I won't be able to use any. I won't use it up. Then how about we each use 5 million? As I spoke, I moved the house. Not house. I'm a retard. I moved the mouse and was about to trade. Hagana was the one who stopped me. That's also not right. If my theorem is correct, I should be using more. But you don't have a theorem yet. That's why it's not fair to use it all before that happens. I won't use that much. Plus, there's the smell of a big play. This will work. I'm going to add on more orders. This time, Hagana stopped me by hitting my hand. I want you to explain. I can't understand if you say sentiment. That was when I got angry and raised my voice. Oh, shut up! I said this is going to work. Based on what? Gut feel. Hey, before you start questioning my decisions, why don't you first finish your theorem? The two of us were banging foreheads and glaring at each other. Suddenly, Hagana's eyes shifted to the window. When I followed suit, my eyes met those of Chris outside the window. She probably had come by in the middle of a delivery. She had her fists clutched to her chest and her eyes were glued to us like she were watching a sports match or something. When Chris's eyes met mine and Hagana's, she shrank back reflexively. Our eyes locked for a few whole seconds before she moved around. First she turned around and suddenly and ran away as fast as she could. Her face was bright red, so it was obvious what kind of misunderstanding she was having. Oh shit, get out of the way. Shit, get out of the way. What? Shut up. Jumping up from the chair, I ran to the window, but I could already see Chris's back on top of the roof of the house across the street. When I had asked in the tunnel what Hagana liked, she seemed to like that kind of talk too. See no words. Hanging my head like I was fighting off a headache, I put my hands on the window frame. Did you have to talk to Chris? Hagana has asked a simple question from behind. Well, I had to talk to her to clear up this misunderstanding, but that felt plain stupid, so I got up. It's nothing. Then what was that? Because of the look in her eyes, it sounded suspiciously like she was making me look like a fool. But there was no doubt that I was a fool, so I just sat back down and spoke. She ran, so I felt like chasing. I see. Hagana tilted her head slightly, then nodded, as if acknowledging that such things did happen from time to time. In the end, I promised that I used only 3 million mules whichever way I wanted. However, if my asset management was good, then I could move up to using half. Later, finding an opening and adding to my previous purchase, I ultimately bought an extra 3,000 shares at an average of 266 mules each. A bit under 800,000 mules. If this were the real world, it would have been a nerve-wracking number, but it was fake money, so it wasn't scary. Plus, just thinking that there was a 2.2 million mules reserve left felt reassuring. If I used the margin, I could triple that capital. But I felt that it was too early to do so. Putting leverage on trades should only be done when it's the right time. So, until the end of trading at 5, I bought and sold 2 other stocks. Both were stocks that had large intraday movements, which drew people like me who were looking to make a profit. They were entertainment companies with lots of risky things on their books. During the contest period, they'd announce various fake movies and they'd roller coaster up and down. It was the same as real life, unlike companies that made things that was in every store. Like toothpaste, no one really knew where things would fall. So it was essentially gambling. It was all about how well you could read the market sentiment, stay absolutely calm, and not be greedy while gathering pennies. For example, if a stock was averaging around 100 mules between 97 and 103, you'd buy at 98 and sell at 101. You'd make more if you sold at 102 mules, but at 102, the guys who bought at 103 might not be able to take the pressure and sell, so profiting was quicker at the lower price. You wouldn't buy at 97 mules because if the price actually dropped down that low, everyone would be afraid it might drop down further, and suddenly the buyers would pull back and the price would fall through the floor. When that happened, what was once averaging around 100 mules could start averaging around 97. That kind of trading going back and forth took place in a matter of minutes, extending to perhaps 15 minutes at the most. During that time, I'd switch screens constantly, using certain criteria to search for stocks that I hadn't looked at yet, gazing at the price movements, news, financials, or the economic situation. If I got time, I'd look at the mix of lies and truths amongst net chatter. That also had an effect on real trading, so in the smaller universe of the investment contest, I figured it must be more so. Finally, within 15 minutes left of trading, I checked all my orders. With the exception of that suspicious stock, I sold my other positions without registering any losses. I did that because in the stock market, demons lurked in the last 10 minutes. In those last 10 minutes, everyone will kill their orders, and it'll be hard sometimes to do complete trades. There were tons of strange deals geared for that. I had once seen a certain company in a takeover battle that had been hitting the daily price gain limit repeatedly, and if 1.4 million buy order came in. For stocks that everyone was fighting to buy, the available sell orders would be divided amongst the buyers according to lottery after trading closed. Since a stock that hit the daily price increase limit had a high chance of going up, the people who believed the stock would raise the next day put in buy orders to participate in the lottery. Since the more orders you put in, the higher the chance you'd win the lottery. Tons of orders were put in. Then, 5 minutes before the end of trading, a sudden order of exactly 1.4 million shares, valued at 200 million mules, came in instantly, throwing the stock into limit for a daily price drop. The trading lines were jammed in the 5 minutes before closing, so there were people who noticed the irregularity, and even then couldn't cancel their order. Upon placing an order, disclaimers for these types of situations would appear by default. Thousands of people were cast from heaven to hell in the final moments. Later, it was revealed that one of the investment funds that had invested in this company had sold every last share of their stock. Demons lurked in the last 10 minutes. At the time, just by pure chance, I was saved because I hadn't put my hand in. Since then, except for trades for special reasons, I always closed up 15 minutes beforehand. At 4:48, I closed all my positions except for that one suspicious stock. After that, I watched the remaining stock positions closely, checking to make sure the demons didn't come out. Even knowing that it was a futile thing, I set up an order to liquidate. All that was needed was to click a button to send it. 4:58, 4:59, 5 on the dot. The world of numbers came to a stop. Phew. Giving a sigh, I leaned back into the chair for the first time in hours. Slowly, the feeling of fresh blood flowing through my brain came. I ended the day up 120,000 mules. In the end, I had used 2 million mule. With 800,000 left poured into that sketchy stock, it was a fine result. Since I had access to the full 10 million mules, I probably could have brought in 1 million. From the start of trading, profits had been pouring in consistently at a violent pace. This could work. It might just work out. As I thought that and sat up in the chair, I noticed that Hagana wasn't next to me. Huh? I was sure that she had been next to me after lunch. When I had been training in the days, I had vague recollections of being asked some detailed questions. I had honestly tried to answer, but maybe she got annoyed at my lame replies and got up. That was a reasonable explanation, but I soon noticed as I stood up. Hagana was lying down on the sofa. What? You're sleeping? When I gave an exasperated mutter, Hagana's eyes popped open. Ugh! I wasn't sleeping. What? You're going to say that you were thinking with your eyes closed? When I said that, Hagana furrowed her brows, closed her eyes slowly, and spoke. I feel sick. Huh? Oh, the screen made you dizzy? Hagana nodded. When I originally started, I got dizzy from the windows flipping constantly, and sometimes I went to the toilet to throw up before continuing trading. Until I got used to it, my eyes burned, and I saw trading screens even with my eyes closed. Furthermore, the dizziness and headaches were awful. I'd gotten used to it now, but it wasn't agreeing with Hagana right now. You okay? You can't tell from looking? Are you stupid? She seemed to want to add that, but apparently she was feeling really sick. She was really feeling sick and didn't have the strength. You want a drink? No, I said I'm sick. I'm sick, blunt. I felt that drinking something cold when you're feeling queasy can be refreshing, but I didn't say it. I shrugged and went to the coffee maker and filled the cup with the last dregs. There was only half a cup, but I loaded it with milk to fill it up. At this rate, you're a ways from getting what I mean when I say sentiment. You made a profit? With her eyes still closed, Hagana changed the subject. I did. How much? 120,000 mules. Of course, it's with fake money. If it were real, well, I wouldn't be able to stop laughing. But if I had a 10 million mool at my disposal, just making a 1% profit would be 100,000 mools. That's how the world worked. The rich got richer. But even if I made 100% every day, I wouldn't be able to catch up. Really. The guy on top is someone with that stupid name, Mr. Trochet or something. Right now, with 23 days of trading, he has 49.52 million mools, up almost 5 times. How is he doing that? No clue, but I think he's the same type as me. Type? He makes a ton of trades over and over. However much a company can skyrocket. In 40 days at best, it'll double, maybe triple. However, making 1% on a single trade isn't difficult. You do that 10 to 20 times every day. If you don't do it that way, you can't get to quintupling your money in 23 days. Makes sense. That, or from the start he went full on. Full? What's that? I taught you about buying on margin, right? Full on is doing that full throttle from the beginning. Essentially, every trade, you always put everything you could behind it. If you did that, you always triple your returns. Triple your returns and such. And why isn't Hal doing that? I knew she was going to ask that. If things don't go well, you're also 3 times as likely to lose your cool. Don't you get it? A loss of 10% on a normal trade becomes a 30% loss. A 30% loss becomes a 90% loss. When that happens, it's impossible to stay calm. When you start losing, it's human nature to start shooting for an instant reversal. But profits work the same way. You think, right? There's no way that the numbers wouldn't work out that way. I'm not talking about that. I laughed and set the coffee cup down. I closed my eyes and recalled the time when I had gained 20,000 mools in an instant, and then when I put everything behind a single stock, I got sucked into a horrific drop. If I had delayed the decision a few minutes, I wouldn't have caught. God damn it. I wouldn't have gotten caught in that drop. While watching the price drop every second, I was half in tears, firing off orders to close my positions. In the end, after 12 minutes, my trades executed, and the 20,000 mools had dropped 14% to 70,000. That's... oh gosh. Certainly, it was still 8 times the 2,000 mools I had started with, but that wasn't comforting, and I felt like I had a huge loss. That was the moment I learned that regardless of how much you started with, whenever your money dropped under the highest point it ever reached, it hurt badly. On top of that, the pain and frustration lingered with you. It was so bad, I had written warnings to myself on paper and stuck it to the computer. Don't fall into despair. If you keep doing that you're doing, the money will keep growing. To trade with 3 times the money, you've got to have 3 times the guts. In that case, yeah, Hal wouldn't be playing with that. Playing with that, really. What? When I looked at Hagana in irritation, she still had her eyes closed, but the tiniest hint of a smile was on her face. A joke. When I stared at Hagana as though she were a dog that had suddenly started talking, she got up slowly. You feeling well enough to get up? No, but I've got lectures. Oh, right. Forgot you were a teacher. Oh, no kidding. Hagana nodded and then somehow managed to get up and walk unsteadily. Hey, that's dangerous. It's fine if you're a bit late, right? Hagana was stumbling around like someone in the dark, so I got up from my chair and grabbed her hand. Hagana didn't throw my hand off, but also didn't say thanks in response. It's not fine, however. If you could teach calculus, then it'll be no problem. Then there is a problem. Thus, I have to go. Everyone has dreams. Dreams? When I asked, Hagana turned just her eyes to me. Then she slid her hand out of mine and walked off. Watching her walk unsteadily to her room to get her things, I muttered, dreams. There was no other word that felt as out of place as that one when it came from Hagana's mouth. I just stood for a while at the table waiting for Hagana to come out of her room. After a while, her footsteps much steadier. Hagana came back holding her bag. What? Hmm? I sat down in a chair and spoke. Have a safe trip. I imitated Lisa. Hagana's eyes widened in surprise and then looked away in distaste. But even so, she squinted at me and replied, I'll be back. Hagana quickly turned around and left the front entrance with great strides. Looking at her retreating back, I felt like I got a sense of why Lisa liked to dote on Hagana. The next day, when I went out to eat breakfast, Hagana came out holding her terminal. It was annoying listening to Lisa's scolding, so I finished breakfast quickly before focusing on the screen. Hagana may or may not have thought my actions were a brilliant idea, but she was about to get scolded by Lisa too, so she put her terminal away. Now, instead of staring at her terminal, she was eating her bread with bigger bites than usual. But even so, Hagana wasn't stuffing her cheeks full like Chris, and in the end, she finished in about the same time as usual. At that point, I started trading. Today, Hagana wasn't watching next to me, but kept fiddling with her terminal at the same table. I had copied the data from Investment Contest's official page, so she was using that as a basis for her thought experiments. Lisa didn't have her part-time job today, so after she was done with the housework, she made coffee for me, cocoa for Hagana, and then she started reading on the sofa. Today was a book about a theologist who was nicknamed Dr. Angelicus. After that, the trading today continued much like yesterday. Often, a stock that yielded profits once would continue to yield profits. The only real difference from yesterday was that I put a bit more capital in. That sketchy stock was hanging around 272 mules today. It was headed a bit upwards, but the short sales were piling up further. In the morning market, I managed to pull in 90,000 mules of profit off the stocks I profited on yesterday. That left me with a net gain of 210,000 mules. It wasn't bad, but hopelessly insufficient. The instant the morning session ended, I was foul-mouthed. Shit. Sitting diagonally across the table, Hagana looked up. It's fucking shit. You lost? No, I didn't. If you won, why are you angry? It's not enough. That's a problem. Hagana nodded seriously. I got annoyed and asked, Well, how are you doing? I'm studying. What? Necessary things. At that, I wrinkled my nose. What's necessary? Looking at the internet, there are theoretical models for stock prediction. What? Right now, I'm analyzing and learning things I don't know. The theory is also fascinating. Wait, you can download these things off the internet? You can. I couldn't bring myself to believe that and was stunned. Oh, you didn't know? Why would something that would make money be on the net? If it could really predict the prices of stocks, then everyone would be profiting. What idiot put it there? Wait, show me. I told Hagana as I leaned across the table. Hagana's brows narrowed, but she turned the terminal around. What's this? An academic paper. Taken from the author's name, it's called the Reach Model. Let's assume that a stock price moves essentially randomly on short time scales and follows a normal distribution. However, because today's stock price is influenced by yesterday's price changes, you use that as conditions for the conditional probabilities to derive today's price. Then, integrating the log normal distribution over a fixed interval, you can obtain the expected value of the fluctuation for a given interval. Stop. What? I get it. I get that I have absolutely no idea that what you're doing. Hagana's out. Oh god damn it. I was about to say eyebrows, but it said brows. Hagana's brows furrowed. She looked at me, then back at the terminal and tilted her head. And also, I looked up what you talked about yesterday. What? I was just about to start shivering over how she really was a genius, and barely put words together. Arts? Using those things, this way is much simpler to calculate. On one hand, saying how the calculations were simple, while on the other, using the word chart was so little confidence. The gap was enough to make me laugh. Oh, the talk about the Golden Cross? Go. She looks like she's about to say goal. Golden Cross. When the moving average starts turning upwards and the daily price moves are starting to cross the moving average line. I wound up sounding like a know-it-all again, but Hagana looked totally confused. With a small cough, I continued. To be honest, it's a TBH. To be honest, it's a pattern that's used often in chart analysis. I don't really know the words, but the idea is super simple. Yeah, because chart analysis is easy to understand. I don't really hate it, but I've got a feeling that it's not that useful. You just have to put the statistics out and derive the probabilities. If the probabilities are in your favor, all you have to do is trade a bunch and it'll come to the expected value. Well, that's true. You can do that? Yes, anyone who can do arithmetic can. Arithmetic? Now it's my turn to ask questions. Add, subtract, multiply, divide. Hagana's eyes narrowed as she looked at me. It was bad enough that I wondered if she thought I was an idiot. Adding and multiplying. No one calls that arithmetic, I thought to myself. But well, if I knew which had a better probability of working, then that'd be a help, I guess. Yes. So which ones look good? When I asked, Hagana's gaze fell on the terminal. I was surprised because I thought she had already finished the calculations. However, Hagana didn't move. Just as I started to form questions, Hagana finally lifted her eyes from the terminal and looked at me. To answer that, there's a problem. Oh? It was something I realized when I was thinking of a different model. What is it? Hagana looked down and mumbled. I can't program. What? When I asked again, Hagana lifted her face and glared at me as she spoke. I can't program. Even if I know how to calculate, doing it all by hand is stupid, and there are things that you just can't realistically calculate by hand. Ah. That's true, but that was a blind spot in the plan. Even though Hagana had amazing math abilities, it didn't necessarily mean she could apply it. School problems you can do on paper, but even in the investment contest stock trades, there were thousands of stocks and each had a ton of information. As I was clutching my head, suddenly a voice came from the sofa. Someone said program? What? When I turned around, it was Lisa. Well, yes, I did. I don't really know much, but programming, I know someone who's good at that, so I'll introduce you. Really? Come to think, Lisa did graduate from the Lunar City University. Someone like that must have the connections to geniuses that I couldn't even imagine. Yes, I think that person will help you, and I've been wondering if there were any way I could help you too, so I'm going to make sure you get helped. Lisa gave a wry smile and my face soured a bit too. I'm not doing this all because of you. Really? Suddenly, sitting across from me, Hagana spoke. Hmm? Hagana turned around, glaring at me. You're not doing this for Lisa. What do you mean? Why are you the one to get angry? And it's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? While I shrank back from Hagana, who still looked on the verge of flinging her terminal at me, Lisa stood up and stretched a bit. Hagana, Hal's being considerate of me. Huh? Right? It was embarrassing under Lisa's wry smile, so I turned my face away. If you're laughing, don't say it, I thought. So, introductions would be better off sooner than later, right? Well, then I'll go talk to that person. Evening is best, right? Yeah, anything after 5. Okay, got it. I'll go make dinner then. With that, Lisa went to the bathroom and then stood in the kitchen. I shook my head and looked back at the computer while Hagana sat in front of her terminal and tilted her head. The afternoon session was a steady advance, swinging 2 million moves around, each time earning 2% profits with a total of 16 wins and 2 losses, in total 26% up. The only point of regret was that if I had cut losses faster, I would have had better performance. But even then, it had been a while since I'd seen these kinds of numbers. Up 520,000 moves, adding to the 120,000 yesterday, that was 640,000. With that, earning 10% on 2 million would have yielded 200,000, but with 2.7 million, 10% would be 270,000, meaning I could earn an extra 70,000 moves. Just like that, though the power of compounding interest, money grows. I wished it could go like this in the real world, but I knew it was probably impossible. In the imaginary world, a few tens of thousands of participants were each given an imaginary 10 million moves and were forced to trade with all their might in 40 days. What I learned while trading was that everyone was trading hurriedly. Because of that, the stock movements grew big, and ultimately, if you could just ride the wave well, you'd make a ton. In the real world, everyone was a lot more cautious, so it wouldn't be like this often. When I gazed at the computer screen with a possibly smug look, Hagana returned to the living room, apparently having gone back to her room to think. Time to head out. What? We talked about it this morning. Oh, meeting someone. I yawned and rolled my head to the sides, making popping noises. Hagana saw that and looked surprised. Where's Lisa? She went out. Sometimes the neighbors asked for her. Oh, what does she do? Sermons? Huh? Lisa's a Christian. There's a number of people in this town like that. Really, now? I had thought that all the people who came from the Earth to the Moon were scientific and realistic types. Let's see. People who wanted to gather so much money they wouldn't fear God or those who came from the hell of knowing that there was no God. And you can't wait until she comes back? Why? She told me the person's name and location. Oh, I see. Then have a nice trip. As I copied Lisa's way of speaking, I returned to the computer screen. Thud. Right after I did that, Hagana's hand struck the table. Why am I the only one going? Me too. Of course, are you stupid? She finally said it. It was a pain to get worked up, so with a sigh of resignation, I got up and gave a big stretch. Also, Lisa said that Hal was familiar with the area. You can't even go on an errand alone? Did you say something? Nothing. Hagana had been speaking while looking at a map on her terminal, and now she glared at me. Whether she heard me or not, she had a mean look in her eye, so I was scared. So, where is it? I'm not all that familiar with the area either. The 5th outer section, 7th block, number 6, building 3, 4th floor. I have no idea if you just recite the address. Business name, Big Bowl Cafe. What? When I looked at Hagana, she looked up from the terminal and spoke. Emmanuel Serrault. Serrault? I had heard the name of the place before. It was the shopkeeper who was the perfect example of a lunar outcast. That guy? Is he going to introduce us to someone else? I don't know. I was told to meet with him. You know the place? I know it. I see. Hagana nodded and put the terminal in her bag. I also began to put away my laptop, but a number of question marks floated in my head. Is a guy like that really going to be of use? Hagana and I left the church together. As always, it was a dirty-ass building. I meant to say that. Still, this area was a lot better than the one where Lisa had her church, so Hagana had nothing to fear. There were a lot more beat-up and dreary buildings near Lisa's. Hagana and I walked into a concrete building covered with cracks and went up the stairs. The walls were covered with an array of sheets and paper. They were all about part-time job and loan offers. Lisa had apparently made arrangements beforehand, and Saralt wasn't a stranger, so there was no reason to be nervous. As we entered through the automatic doors, we found Saralt at the counter, right by the side, fiddling with the game machine, his long legs up on the counter. Yo! When he noticed me, he took his feet off the table, and when he saw Hagana coming after me, his eyes widened. Well, looks like you found a nice girlfriend. What? Huh? She's not? Lisa said so. What? Just a joke. Don't get mad, moon scum. I glared at him, and Saralt's shoulders just shook with his laughter. From there, he looked at Hagana. He waved, smiling and tilting his head slightly. What's with this friendliness? Meanwhile, Hagana seemed to get shyer. She was stiffly guarded when confronted with that friendliness. However, her line of sight was directed at Saralt's head. Maybe it wasn't so much that she was shy, but perhaps she was just afraid of afros. So? Lisa said to come here. Yeah, I heard. You're looking for a programmer? Programmer? Well, I'm not sure if that's what you want. You don't know? What's the deal? Well, Lisa did say she didn't really get it either. Yeah. I was searching for the right words to explain when Saralt continued to speak. Huh? Your face looks quite a bit better than it used to. Huh? What? Yeah, in just a few days they change. Kids are amazing things. What's with you, looking for a fight? Chill out. After all, Lisa's really kind. Hey, did you already use her lap for a pillow? What? Lap for a pillow. I had a brief image of myself sleeping, resting my head on Lisa's lap. It wasn't a bad thing, but wait. Lisa took care of this guy too. This guy? Together with Lisa? Lisa's lap. It makes a great pillow, right? How about you, Missy? Did you try it yet? When Saralt spoke to her with a smile, Hagana pulled back and tucked her jaw in slightly like she was wary, but eventually she nodded. Eh? You're the only one who hasn't. Oh, Jesus. Well, not like it would matter anyhow. Nope, not really, but well, would have been nice if it were with Earth's gravity. I'm sure with gravity's pull, all soft and pliant. Hey, calm down, Earth dog. When I threatened him, Saralt's shoulders shook with laughter. Calm down. You'll get your turn eventually. I'm not talking about that. Alright, don't shout. You want a program? If it's not something messy, well, I'll give you a good price. What's that? What, you wanted a program, right? I was getting fed up with this and shot back. What, you're going to do it? Yep, that's right. Got a problem? When I had trouble answering, Hagana looked at me. This person is an Emmanuel Saralt? That's me, Missy. Missy? Hagana asked angrily. Saralt also shrank back in jest. May I please have your name? Hagana. Oh? Saralt nodded and seemed to have placed some significance in her name, but didn't say anything further. He probably knew that she had run away from home like I did. Hagana is a strange name. There wouldn't be more than one person with it. So, I'm Saralt. What do you require of me, Hagana? I want a program from you. Nice to get straight to the point. What kind of program should I make? A formula related to statistics. If possible, numerical analysis using calculus as well, or something that can run multiple regression analysis, just from manipulating a few variables. And if you can do Monte Carlo simulations. Whoa, stop there. Yes? What are you saying? The program. When Hagana answered, Saralt peered at her face. Then, looking at me, he shook his head. Something for Lisa's university? It's not. Games that kids plays these days. Regression analysis and Monte Carlo simulations appear in them? Apparently in the ones I'm playing. What? Seriously? Saralt's eyes popped at my answer, but Hagana quickly spilled the beans. Beans. We're trading stocks. I'm predicting with math. Hal's trading on sentiment. I wasn't wrong, but that makes it sound like I was going to by luck and gut feeling. the word stocks. Soralt looked like he finally got it and nodded repeatedly. I see, and so. So, can you do it? Agana asked. Well, I probably can. Really? Soralt gave me a puzzled look at my surprise. Didn't you hear from Lisa? About what? When I questioned him back, Soralt's eyebrows narrowed. Then, giving his head a light shake, he spoke. Doesn't matter. If it's not some really crazy kind of math, I can do it. And that Monte Carlo thing, well, I can probably do that too. And usability-wise, I'll guarantee it'll be better than some random programmer can ever do. Really? Of course. He answered Hagana with a smile. However, Hagana's eyes were still on Soralt's afro, and she was braced as if something might jump out there at her. If it's stocks, then there's data, right? What format? Ah, look up the investment contest by the Ratzinger Economics Research Center. You'll find the data posted there. And I want to use that to look things up. Huh? Ratzinger? What, you know them? Well, they're famous after all. I know a few people there. Wait, what? Okay, I got it. The things you want in the program. Just write it down and send it to this email address and I'll do it for you. You can bring your complaints and questions directly here too, since I'm usually in the shop. If I'm not at the counter, I'm in the VIP room in the back. Are you living here or something? Exactly. It was a bit frustrating, but at least the programming issue was going to work out. As for payment, yeah, you can pay me when you make it big. Soralt gave a sly laugh. Hagana and I both looked at each other for an instant, but since we couldn't waste money, we decided to nod for now and say our thanks. I'm gonna end this here for now, so next part, let's see what happens during the night. So, like, comment, and subscribe, and see you guys later. Have a good one.